Hey everybody, I'm Rick. Welcome to Talking Habs. So it's Saturday Hockey Talk. Not a lot of stuff out there. Whatever news there is going to be in my next video, which is just got to be edited. So I don't know how much of this I'm going to go over today in this, but I put up that here, so I don't sound like an idiot. So this is, so I don't know where this is from, but it is somebody's version of the all-time best lineup of every player that's ever played for the Habs. I don't know that I agree with everything on there. At least some of them, like where they're, like in what order and stuff like that. So my challenge to you guys out there, whoever's here so far, is I'm working on doing my own version of that in a video. So if you want to get your version of that in a video, so leave. How do I want to do this? I guess leave a comment in the video, not in the, don't leave a comment in the chat, leave a comment in the video of your version of it, or quite frankly, you can do it in almost any video, because I realize it might take time to make that up, but if you'd like to have your all-time Habs lineup in a video, yeah, send it to me somehow, either through my email or in a comment in a video, and I'll be sure to get that into the video that I'm working on. So it's probably not the easiest thing to do. I was working on it already for about a half hour. I didn't really get decided on anything, but just trying to think of players that could be in there instead of the players that are already on that. So, and if you're not sure of the players on that, I don't know where you would get that. I guess you could pause the video where I showed it and then look and see what it is. I don't know where I got this on Twitter, I believe. So I don't even know what publication put that out. So it's kind of weird. All right. So we can talk about that in here if you want to do that in here. Like if you want to do that in the chat, we can talk about it. Anything in the chat won't get into a video, but if you whatever, and then you send it to me anyway, we'll get you in the video. Am I making any sense to anybody? Because I don't know. It's one of those days. You may have noticed there's a new setup. Camera angle looks different. That's because it is different. And I changed up my setup here. I've got a second monitor instead of using my TV, a TV for a second monitor. I've got a second monitor, so the setup right here differently. So I had to change the camera because how I had it on the arm I had it, it wouldn't go where I needed it to go. So I'm using something different, and that's why it looks different. So I will no longer have to be during the season or anything watching the game looking like this. So you won't see me like this. From now on, when the game's on TV, I'll be watching it just over here. That's where my TV is now. So otherwise, it'll be right here in front of me. And it's a little better. All right, let's see who's here. If you are here, I went right to where the camera used to be because that's where it used to be. Old habits, right? So listen, if you're here, say hi. Ask me a question, or hey, come up with I'll put this up again for a sec if you want to see it. Come up with an all-time Habs lineup like this. So it's 4 lines, 3 pairings, and 2 goalies. And if you see here, whoever put this up has Ken Dryden and then Carey Price, and Patrick Roy is not on there. And that's a tough decision right there between those 3 goalies. You could add Jacques Plante. There's a few guys here that have been here in Montreal that you could maybe add in there. But I think, seriously, it's probably Dryden, Roy, and Price. But interesting that someone thought Carey Price was ahead of Patrick Roy. And, everyone's got an opinion, right? Like, what they say about opinions, right? So there's that. We can talk about whatever you want. In the meantime, I'm going to get in there and say hi because the comments are starting to build up. So, and I am alone this week. I don't think anyone's popping in. I checked with Matt. He said no. When Matt says he's going to be here, he doesn't show up a lot of times. So if he says no, he's not going to be here. And I sent out no invitations to anybody. So it's just me. Let's see who's here. Paul. Hey, Paul. Welcome in. Robinson Savard, Henri Richard, Guy Lafleur, Jean Beliveau. But it's got to be like, kind of if you can do it all in one and not send me 1, 2, 3, 4, 700 messages, it's just going to get bulky. But if you want to do that, go ahead. But you want to maybe take time to consider, like, no? Hey, Phil, what are you doing there? GMs? There's no way Bergevin is second best GM behind Pollock. Sorry. That now you go to the Douglas immediately. Not that Bergevin, I don't hate Bergevin by any means, but he wasn't second best GM. I'm starting early. I think I'm starting early. Phil, you made me start early. John Lanyo, first time seeing you there. Welcome in. Kovalev, Beliveau, Lafleur, Robinson, Weber. That's a full 5 skaters. Yeah, Weber did not make it, and Kovalev didn't make it in this guy's list. Interesting top line. For me, they have, I think the second line is Toe Blake, Henri Richard, the Rocket. So the Pocket Rocket and the Rocket. You know, that what did they call that? The punchline? Blake, Elmer Locke, and the Rocket. You know, that line was so good and dominant. That's where I'm thinking. I think I would have that line intact, and then drop the Pocket Rocket to the third center line. I'm not sure about Howie Morenz. I know he was a great player, but when you consider some of the great players that came after him, I don't know that he fits there necessarily. And that's what I'm thinking. Hey, Lucas, how you doing, man? By the way, good to see some new names. Now, Paul Duffy's not a new name. He's newish. But John, and I've seen in comments and stuff, it's really good to see a bunch of some new blood. That's what it's like, by the way. We go through cycles of people. Some people stay forever and never. They're always here. And then there's guys that come and go, and then they'll pop in again. You know, it's hard to constantly watch the same person all the time. I mean, I understand that, but it is nice to see the new names. And plus, this new season's coming up. There'll be a bunch of new people every year with that. A bunch of new people to get to know. Lucas is not far off, man. Can you believe we're basically a month away from the beginning of the training camp stuff happening, right? Training camp will open mid-September. So we're, and then you got the rookie camp. So we're basically, at the end of August, things start to heat up and got the news and there's stuff to do, and stuff to read about and all that kind of stuff. So we're just a month away from that. And it's just, the summer's just passing by like, I don't know. I'm going to do this. And hey, tonight is the first game. Like, that's what's going to happen. It's crazy. Phil, I'm reading what you said there. First of all, Max Pacioretty, not even a consideration at all in this list. Not even a consideration at all, in my opinion. Kovalev, I think you can consider. I don't know that he makes the list either for me. Taking Dryden out, you're not doing your research. I would probably initially, before I had done this before, kind of. And for me, Roy and Price, I was the same thing. But you know what? Ken Dryden, he earns the top spot, at the very least the second spot. I don't think you could take Dryden out of the two. So it's between Roy and Price. That's my opinion. You're obviously allowed your opinion. It's wrong, but you're allowed your opinion. It's not a problem. Phil, one thing I agree with you on, I find my first inclination are players from the 70s. But you got to think of the 50s, 60s, 70s. I think it's those 3 decades where you're going to get the bulk of these guys from. They had some great players over the years, but really their dominance was in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And I mean, the teams in the 70s, and then in the 50s, that five cups in a row. I mean, they're just so dominant. It's really not an easy. It you know what? It's not an easy thing to do, but it's relatively easy if you know your Habs. When's the World Cup of Hockey? I don't know. September? No. I don't know. Is it going to include NHL players? If it is, it's going to have to be before camps open. Guru. By the way, Pro Chat, welcome in. I should have said that first. Sorry about that. And welcome in, Guru. You know, Phil says this. I like entertainment, so he's talking about Bears and all that. It's fine if that's what we're talking about, but we're not talking about that here. We're not talking about who is the most entertaining player or GM or whatever. We're not. We're talking about who is the best. You know. Hey Ryan, you're asking me raw or price? I guess because my era was the 70s and 80s, and you know that was my era. I want to say raw, but I realized something when I was thinking about it that you know Carey Price might not have the cups, but one thing he had was talent. I don't think I saw some of the best goaltending at the time. I don't remember what series it was, but it was against the Rangers. I forget what year. I think 86. Patrick Roy. I think it was overtime, or he made there was a 5-minute period where he just stopped everything, and they threw everything at him in 5 minutes, tons of shots, and he stopped everything just left and right. But Carey Price, man, that guy he's so athletic, moving like lightning, just positionally so strong. I don't know that I can disagree having Carey Price ahead of Patrick Roy. It's a tough choice. So I don't know how to answer that right now. And that's something I was struggling on when I was looking at it, trying to think of who I would, I was struggling with that one. Hey, Andre, how you doing, man? Well, thank you. Appreciate it. I hope I'm entertaining. Just don't say it too soon. It might go downhill now. Sorry if I'm falling behind in comments. Well, Patrick Roy, I tell you what, money goalie. You got a game 7 to win. Patrick Roy is going to do it. So I won't take that away from him. I just don't know that Carey Price got those opportunities. But I'm talking about from a skill and talent level. I think Price was more skilled than Roy that way, right? So I don't know. You can make arguments for both. But I tell you, you can't take Dryden out of the equation. As far as pure dominance in an 8-year or 9-year career, Ken Dryden was just dominant. And it wasn't just because he had a hell of a team in front of him. It wasn't. Yeah, this summer's been crappy. Phil, it's the same for all of us, right? Players who got to see. You have to, if you've done your kind of studying the Habs over the years, like I have, and I know somewhat about some of the older players, but I know enough to know there weren't like in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, there was like a ton of great players that played here. That wasn't the case leading up to the 50s, right? And we know after the 80s, it wasn't the case really at all, right? By mid 90s, it definitely wasn't the case. So I don't know what I was getting at. Yeah, that you got to see, right? So I mean, I didn't see guys in the 50s and 60s that much, but I can, I know who's good. But it's not an entertain. Like I'm not going to. Well, he entertained me a lot. We're looking at the best. What do you have? 12. So you got 20 choices out of how many players played here. Brian says he's leaning towards Roy due to the rings plugged in his ears. If Price had won a couple of Stanley Cups, I got to tell you, I wouldn't have a problem. Like I wouldn't have a hesitation saying Carey Price. The only reason I have hesitation, so Still, that doesn't change from anything for me. We have been blessed with some great goaltenders here in Montreal. As a matter of fact, Montreal always known for having good goalies up until a certain point. Lucas, that's what I thought. That's why I was kind of like, a World Cup, I didn't think there was anything happening. There's that 3-on-3 thing going on, right? Hey, BL, you put Beliveau with the Rocket and the Flower on the wings with Larry Robinson, Serge Savard, or on D, and Dryden between the pipes. You're talking about like a first line, like a first team all star, right? Yeah. Now for fun, Phil's got Drouin on left wing, Dernay centering, Drouin and Guillaume Latendresse. Marc-Andre Bergeron. Oh my God, that guy was so defensively challenged that they only played him on the power play. And if he had got stuck out there, like he was like a deer in the headlights on defense. Patrice breeze by. Red light Rasico backs it all up. Yeah, that's the the all-time lousy team. Do we think Suzuki and Caulfield can one day get on that list? I mean, with the kind of team that I think they're building here, I think it's definitely possible for them to be, at the very least, in consideration to be on that list. But you got to think that if Hughes and Gordon are successful and they build the team that they're looking to build, there's going to be some great players coming out of here in this generation of players. They play. Oh, I bet you're talking about Bergeron. They played him on the fourth line for. Yeah, okay, kind of remember that. He's minus 12 in defensive awareness. he was a power play specialist. That's about all he could do, if I'm correct, right? As soon as the power play was over, you just crossed your fingers and hope he'd get off the ice before any damage happened on his side of the ice. I remembered a guy like every time he was on the ice, I just was, how do I want to put that? He would, yeah, deer in the headlights is the, if it wasn't the power play, as soon as they were even strength, if he was on the ice, you were afraid for him. Let's put it that way. That's how I felt. I got through all the comments. That's pretty good. This goddamn thing won't stay lit. What are you going to do? All right. So what else are we going to talk about? I mean, keep this going, but anybody got anything? I really don't want to give away what's in the video. I could not get it edited. I got it all filmed and everything. I started working on it today, and I got everything done except the editing. So I don't know that I want to kind of give any of it away. Unless somebody comes up with something that's on here, I don't think I want to do that. So whatever you guys got, I'd be very interested to hear. Hey, Leon, how you doing? He's got Beliveau, Lafleur, and the Rocket. Well, Lafleur and the Rocket are the same side. They're both right wings, so you can't have them on the same line unless you're just giving a list of guys that would be on the team. So you can't really have that. And you know what? I don't think it's the same case where, today how guys, most guys play either wing. In general, most guys will play either wing. Back in Lafleur's day, I don't think he ever played left wing. Like he was a right winger. That's it. That's all. And so was the Rocket. Um, Here's where I agree with you because and it's the same problem, but they've got Doug Harvey and Butch Bouchard, I think, on the first pairing defense, and they've got Larry listed as the third pairing defense. And it's like there's no way Larry Robinson is third pair. Problem is that Harvey and Robinson are the same side, so yeah, it's difficult to figure out and probably get it right so that most people would say, yeah, that's the right order. I don't think you're going to do that. But and also they had Gila Point listed ahead of Robinson. That's not accurate. Of the big three, you got to think Gila Point was three, not one or two. So having him listed ahead of Robinson doesn't make sense. I'll put this up again just so we get another look at it. It's double because I was just trying to make it fit all the screen. So they've got Shutt, Beliveau, Lafleur on the first line, Toe Blake, the Pocket Rocket Henri Richard, and Rocket Richard Maurice on line 2. Dickie Moore, Howie Morenz, Bernie Jeffrey on line 3, Bob Gainey, Guy Carbonneau, Claude Provo, line 4. Now, of those guys there, I'd have to think about that. I'm not sure about, like, Dickie Moore was a great player. I'm just not sure he should be there. I'm not even sure, honestly, that Howie Morenz should be there. So Claude Provo, I kind of remember him, but I gotta research him more to see if I think he should actually be there, in my opinion. Then you got Doug Harvey, Butch Bouchard. Don't agree with that. The Butch Bouchard, who I didn't really see. So I'm not sure that Chris Chelios should be on that list. If it's for while they played for Montreal, I don't think Chris Chelios should be on that list. He played a lot longer, not in Montreal, and he was great. So I don't know that Guy Lapointe is not ahead of Larry Robinson. And Serge Savard should not be behind Chelios. And there's my thoughts. All right, let's get back to the comments there. Oh, I kind of wanted to take that out. Yeah, that first, and comments. All right. The Rocket could be moved to the left. No. I don't think, I'm sure at some points the Rocket went to the left side. He never played left wing. He never played left wing that I ever heard of. Where can we see the list? This is the problem. I got it off of Twitter. I don't know. I just copied the picture. I don't know where the publication is. I don't know what it is. So I apologize for that. Hang on. Let me do something. I have another copy of that. The original copy. Let's see if that has the name. I gotta find it here. Hang on. Maybe I altered it and took the name out. Nope, doesn't help. Yeah, it just doesn't help. You can't see who's putting that out. I apologize for that. I wasn't sure if I was going to use it really or not, so I didn't really pay attention. Then I decided to put that in as a thing, and yeah, by that time there's no way I was going to find that tweet on Twitter. Especially now, I've only limited to how many I'm allowed to see. I don't want to be looking through stuff I've already seen and wasting I don't know how many hundred of posts to read. Because as the season comes on, it's going to be really difficult because I was on Twitter a lot, and there's no way a thousand tweets to read is going to be enough for me during the season. I don't know what I'm going to do. I know one thing I'm not going to do. I'm not paying everyone. If you don't like bad language, I'm not paying that prick Elon Musk a dime. Not a dime. All right, let me get back to comments. Very exciting night of talking Habs, isn't it? Leon Butch Bouchard was a good good defenseman. That's Emile Butch Bouchard. You know, Pierre Bouchard's, I think, dad or uncle. I'm not sure which one of that, but no, he was a top defensive defenseman though, right? He was a really defensive defenseman, from what I remember reading about. So you know, numbers weren't big, but he was a tough son of a bitch to play against, from what I remember. BL, no, Raw was the this guy had Price ahead of Raw. I talked about it. You must have missed that, but I talked about it. You're surprised Mark Recchi is left off the list? Well, the problem was he couldn't focus enough here in Montreal because he was getting his doctor's degree, so that afterward he could, you know, give diagnoses on the ice. Yeah, but where did Recchi get a lot of most of his points? Weren't in Montreal. I'm sure this list is for their career in Montreal, not their overall career, but their careers in Montreal. So that would affect a guy like Mark Recchi. Hey Joe, how you doing, Joe? Sorry, the dad agree. What? What, Leon? I don't get what you said there. Asia's land. Okay, did I miss any comments? Because I ran out here. I ran out of comments. What am I going to do now? I got to come up with stuff. Oh my God. That's one of those nights I don't have much of anything. I worked on this video today, and I kind of don't want to. I mean, you guys aren't going to want to watch that video if I talk about everything I'm doing in that video. So I don't want to do that. And yeah, I was doing other things. I didn't really spend a lot of time trying to find any other news. So, and it's quiet. It's a quiet time, kind of the quiet calm before the storm of the training camp gearing up. I'm trying to keep this thing lit, and it just doesn't want to stay. Those are my struggles for the day. Gislain says, in goal, we got a couple of good choices. George Vezina, George Hainsworth, Jacques Plante, Kenny Dryden, Patrick Roy, and Carey Price. But, you know, I think of the, was that 5 guys? 6 guys. Of the 6, okay? And not to say Vezina wasn't great, Hainsworth, but really, Jacques Plante maybe is a serious consideration. Other than that, I don't think it's, and, you know, it's Dryden, Roy, Price, and Jacques Plante probably. I don't think there's another goalie that qualifies to be considered personally. That's personally. Yeah, Leon. No, not Pierre. No, Pierre was his nickname wasn't Butch. It's his father, Emile Butch Bouchard. Did Pierre Bouchard have a nickname? I don't remember. I don't think so. At least not like that. Not that name anyway. Do I have any news about my book? It's not finished. Yeah, I haven't. It's been a while since I worked on it. It's not. I'm not. It's going to take a while yet. I'm gonna get back to it soon because I don't have any other poetry in the works, and I've been thinking about it a lot lately. So, I'm gonna pick it up one day soon and finish. But no news right now. I haven't done a lot of writing this summer, and I don't know why. I was just chastising myself for it earlier. Joe says she would like to see a list made for great lineups, but with a twist. One must have a set number of current players. Yeah, but okay, but how would that work? Because if you're talking about greatest all time, I mean, current players, we don't know. So it would have to be what would be the list for, right? Like this is all time lineup. So it would have to be more than just you got to include current players because that doesn't fit. Vezina, the first great goalie of Montreal, the Vezina for the best goalie in the league is his. I know. Hainsworth got 22 shutouts in 44 games. If you watch my Ghosts of Habs Past, that's one of the lines in that. He got 22 shutouts by game 44. That record will never be equalized. Not only will it not be that someone gets 22 shutouts, but think of it. He got shutouts in 50% of the games because I believe he played all the games that year. He got shutouts in 50% of the games. So that's a feat that'll never get matched for sure. And then I don't know if that 22 shutouts is like a record for the season. I don't know. I kind of think it is. I know Tony Esposito like has records like that. He got 15 shutouts in his rookie season. So Joe, the twist is you got to have some of the current players, but you got to figure out which ones are going to end up being the greatest amongst that list. But you got to have some. Bit of a challenge. But the thing is, we won't know how accurate till probably way past my lifetime. You know what I mean? I don't know. No, well, maybe not that, but it'll be a long time before we know. Paul's got Ken Dryden for I get for the goal, but he was on that list. Ken Dryden did not win 4 cups in 8 years. He got 4 in his last 4. He won the cup in his not even rookie season because he just got called up 6 games prior to the playoffs. He won the cup that year. And didn't he win the cup in 73? Or was that? Yeah, 73. So didn't he win 6 and 8? So someone independent of me, look that up and tell me how many cups Dryden won. But I believe that is 6 and 8. So I'm going to say the 69-70 cup, the 72-73, and then he won 75, 76, 76, 77, 77, 78, and 78, 79. To me, that adds up to 5 plus 1 is 6. Jacques Plante, first to put a mask. If you don't know that, if you don't know that, then you're either very young or you don't pay attention. And of course, he's a Stanley Cup champion, multiple cups. No, I don't think Montreal is the only place either that he won a cup. Jacques Plante. Jacques Plante is legitimately in that conversation of best goalie. I don't know that he makes it, but he's legitimately in the conversation for sure. Plus, he played till he was what, 47? Something like that. I'm probably exaggerating, but he played till he was old. Well, Ryan, I think most people would answer that as saying the team in front of him was a big. And I read this article, I think in The Athletic, I'm not 100% sure, where they convinced me of the fact that Dryden legitimately should be in that conversation as the best ever for the Habs. Yeah, I think, and I think that's true. Because even with a really great team in front of you, I mean, to win 6 cups in your first 8 or in your only 8 seasons, I don't know. And look how that guy came up as a not even a rookie, played 6 games, and then just I don't. Did he get beat in the playoffs after that? I don't know, but he won a Stanley Cup before he was a rookie. Stanley Cup and a Conn Smythe Trophy as well before he was even a rookie. And then look in 74, was it 74 where he took that year off? They weren't that good a team. And this was basically the same team. And when he came back, and then they went on, like, it was the same team. So Ken Dryden was more than just a good goalie on a great team. He was a great goalie on a great team. And in 79, like after that cup, after he left, it took them 5 years to get another one. 5, 6, 7 years, excuse me. Yeah, but Carey Price, I mean, skill wise, there's a lot of things Carey Price would just, if you were able to put those three guys, to the test at once, there's no way they could keep up with his skill and acrobatics. I don't think. So that puts him up there. Yeah, but just that's not fair. That's really not fair to say that's his only. I mean, come on. First of all, if your boss came to you and said, "Listen, Ghislain, we're going to sign you to a $10 million contract for the next 8 years," you okay with that? You're going to be okay with that. So I don't put that on Price. He could have said, "Listen, I don't want to take that much because I want you to be able to have players around." He could have, but I mean, I'm just going to say I don't know how many people are going to turn that down. The problem was the offering of it. They shouldn't have given him that much. And I don't know if at the time of the negotiations, I don't remember back then if it was basically him saying 10.5 million or like I walk. It doesn't seem in his character, but I don't know that 100% to say that. If Price had a great team in front of him, Price would be a Stanley Cup champion multiple times, I believe. But Ryan, unless Carey Price comes back to play, he won't retire as a Cup champ if they win in the next 3 seasons. He's got 3 more years left on that contract. When if you're wondering if Carey Price is coming back, it's too bad I should have taken. I took that thing. I had it up here, and this is coming from Eric Engels, right? So this is not like some fly-by-night reporter or whatever, where he's saying that Carey Price will be hanging around with the team and basically exploring, helping them out and doing what he need, whatever they need him to do, but also basically saying that probably by the time the contract's over, he's going to potentially be the goalie coach here. This is coming from Eric Engels. You got to put some value in that. And if that's coming out like that, he's not coming back. He's not coming back if he's thinking along those lines, and the Habs are thinking along those lines. I mean, that's what I've got to read into it. So there's no way that he'd retire as a Cup champion because, yes, he has a contract with Montreal, but he won't have played. So he won't be a Cup champion. They may give him an honorary ring because he still has a contract, but I don't know. He's not getting on the Cup. Again, Ghislain, that's not a Stanley Cup. But yeah, that's why he's up there. Was a great goalie. Ryan, I don't think you can just dress. You have to get in, don't you? Or I guess the backup, but he'd have to have been a backup for a number of games. They're not going to do that. He's not going to suit up for the Montreal Canadiens. Probably again until the night he retires, potentially, and he'll come out in his uniform. Or the night they retire his number or whatever, and he comes out in his uniform. That's probably it, unfortunately. Or when he plays old timer games, like it's just the reality of the situation. Oh, I'm sorry, Joe. What did I miss then? I'm gonna go back and see. Oh, I see. Yeah, okay. I thought you were being like, Price had a great team in front of him and didn't need to finish that. No worries. Have Guru. I'm going to read his comment, and then I'm going to give an answer. He says, I think Bergevin wasted part of Carey's career banking on him to bail out the team and mask weaknesses with his good play. Yes, but you know where he wasted Carey's career? Have you heard the rumor that they turned down this offer from the Oilers to get now? Who did the Oilers want? I can't remember. They wanted the defenseman. They wanted, I don't know who they wanted, but they were offering Draisaitl, Darnell Nurse, and I can't remember who else to get something from Montreal, and Bergevin turned that down. So we could have had Draisaitl and Darnell Nurse here. Carey Price we might have won something. So, maybe in 2021, we'd have won. You know what I mean? So I think that's where he lost it, and the Kreider, the injury from caused by Kreider, that's where he lost the cup personally. But you're right; they thought Price was able to mask a lot of. But think about it though: you got a team that has a goalie like Price. If you if you've got a goalie like that, excuse me, what do you do? I mean, you got a guy that's got to play most of the games. That's got to, be the. What do you do? It kind of hampers your team a little bit too. So, would we even have the money for Price to come back? Well, they got to have Price on the roster to start the season. If you ask me, all three of the next seasons, right? Because you don't want to be starting the season using LTIR money like Toronto is going to be doing this year. If they work it out to even be doing that, they're way over. So he's got to fit in, But then remember, next season, not the one coming up, but the one after that, the cap starts to go up $4.5 million or more, somewhere around that every year. So that'll be a big help there. And quite frankly, if they can move some veterans out this year, up until till the end of training camp, if they can do that, it'll make it so much easier to fit Price onto the roster, and then as soon as the season starts, he goes on LTIR, and then get the relief. But there's an important reason why. I didn't finish, in case you haven't heard me say this before, but if you start the season on LTIR money, right? So you're over the cap you're using. So say you're using $5 million on the LTIR, you start the season. And say you're Toronto, right? So you're using $5 million. Austin Matthews gets injured. So his 11 point, what is he making? 11.5? 11? His $11 million, you're not getting that in relief. You're getting $5 million because that's what you start. So you're never getting more than that $5 million. And that could really screw you up down the road, where you can't get equal value for the guys that are getting injured if they're the expensive players. Ryan, we can exploit the cap. Any team can. I imagine one day they're gonna change the rules on that, or maybe not. it might not. They might not really want to change that because, remember, Bettman works for the owners. The owners that are doing this, they want to change it, and then the owners that aren't doing it, well, they know that one day they're probably going to have to. So I don't know if it'll get changed. But they talk about it. They wanted Subban. You might be right. It was something to do with Subban. I think that's right. It was Subban? Anyways, listen, he should have made that deal. He should have made that deal. That's the one that would have changed the Habs trajectory at that point and set us on a different path that, it would have been totally different here. That's right. We wouldn't have had Weber, but we'd had Draisaitl and Darnell Nurse. And, Draisaitl, there's your number one center. He would have been here before Suzuki got here. It might have changed. I mean, we might not have Suzuki. There's a lot of things we might not have. We might not have Cole Caulfield. So it depends on how you look at it, that you might want that to have happened. Or maybe you think, well, I don't know that I would want to not have Suzuki and Caulfield here. But it would have changed, the course of the last. When was that? I guess it was about 8 years ago. I don't believe they wanted Carey Price. That's not what I read. I don't remember that. Subban's name was mentioned. Hard to say if Leon would be the same player in Montreal. Why wouldn't he be? I mean, why wouldn't he be? He's a great player. What's it in Edmonton? If you're going to say just Connor McDavid, but what's it in Edmonton that makes him that great player, but it wouldn't happen here in Montreal? I don't get that. There's no reason why he wouldn't be the number one center here. Ryan, I agree with you there. I mean, they're not only manipulating, they're not even under the 10% they're allowed to go over. They're over that. I don't know how they're going to do this. Like, how come they're not fined for going over the 10% that they're allowed? And how the hell are they going to get that down to what they need to have it at when the season starts? And maybe that's it. The Murray thing got them to. From what I understood, though, putting Murray on LTIR didn't get them fully under where they needed to be. And yes, it's got to be bullshit that Murray is. How could he have been ready to go in the playoffs if needed? And that's a tweet that he made off his account, that he would have been ready to go in whatever game it was. And then what? He hasn't played how's he injured so badly that he's on LTIR? What did he do? Did he get up off the toilet too quickly and do something to a knee or his back? Or I don't know. Most fragile goalie I think I've ever seen. But I'm not buying it either. I'm not buying it. It's a cap manipulation. And listen, Murray, what kind of character where he's going, yeah, I'm okay with that. Shouldn't he want to be, no, listen, I'm healthy. I want to play. Right? So. Okay, Ryan, I get your point, but really, in all likelihood, Draisaitl was going to be a great player pretty much anywhere, right? Yeah, see, Renegade Matt agrees with me. I'm not saying he's generational per se, although you say, well, if McDavid is, he's right up his ass there with numbers. So, but he would have been great wherever he played. Just more than likely, if Draisaitl was here, you don't have Suzuki. You may have Doc. You probably don't have Suzuki. And Deneau wanted out anyway. Would that change if things were different? You might not have to know if we had Draisaitl here. It's hard to say, right? Ryan, no, I said it's a good point, but that's really hard to. It's hard enough to figure out if a guy's going to be good or whatever, but to go and say, well, would he still be the same if he was here instead of there? Like, it's hard to really tell. He'd still be good. It's just whether would he be considered generational still? I don't know. Hey, Lucifero. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. If I'm making your days watching them, I don't put out enough videos, man. You must have a lot of bad days then. I got one, should be out tomorrow. I got to edit. It's all in the can. I just got to find the time to edit. Tomorrow, my problem is it's my day to go see my dad. I don't know when I'm going to get that. I don't know. I might do it tonight. I don't know. We'll see. We got Dano in the Fleischmann deal, but the Fleischmann deal might not happen because things are different, right? You know the butterfly effect, or you don't? It's basically that, isn't it? Okay, I'm very happy that you want to educate me in those deals, which I know because I know all those deals happen. But when you change things up 8 years ago, whatever it was, 8 years later, it's not going to be exactly the same. Some things aren't going to be the same. So, and probably guys that we didn't draft probably aren't here because even if they did make deals, it's probably not the same ones. So there's one that you could probably count on where Ryan's got it right. If we got Draisaitl, we probably have Brady Tkachuk here because they wouldn't have reached for KK. I think that one you can just mark down and say that's guaranteed. KK would not have been here, and we'd have Brady Tkachuk because they wouldn't have needed a center that desperately to reach past Brady Tkachuk. And then things are even further different. Okay, I'm tired of this one. I'm just tired of trying to keep this thing going. No, not happening anymore. Okay. But Gislaina, you're missing the point. If you make a change by bringing in Draisaitl and whenever that deal was, you change everything that happened after to some extent. You can think of any other reason why, but it doesn't matter because all that would have been changed. I mean, you've seen the movies and TV shows about. Come on. Renegade Man says Flyers fan told him that they got their revenge by drafting Michkov. They got their revenge on us because of the Caulfield thing where they didn't draft Caulfield and we did. But when he compared York to Reinbacher, I told him you can't compare those two. Not even close. I'm not saying York's going to be a generational or a great whatever. York's going to be a really good defenseman, though. Alex, who you've seen in here, he's a Flyers fan. I mean, he's told me, and I read this before too, that York will end up being a worthwhile pick there. Over maybe not. I mean, you say over Caulfield, but still a good, solid pick there and be a really good defenseman for them. You know, I don't know. It's out because it wouldn't stay lit at all. So this goddamn weather, it's so humid. I dry it and it gets wet again real quick. Screw the Flyers and Michkov. Yeah, why not? You hope Reinbacher, Kyle McLaren's him? No, I don't hope for things like that for people. There's no. I mean, why would you hate Michkov? He's done nothing to you. I don't hate the kid. I just didn't want them to draft him. But it's not because I disliked him. That's the whole point, right? Is that, I mean, you just keep coming up with things that, well, this and that, they did this, but they probably wouldn't have done any of that, right? Because everything would have changed. Right? And probably almost everything that they did after would have been different because of that move. That's I mean, Draisaitl's that kind of a talent, right? Lately, I have not heard my neighbors upstairs in forever. Like tonight, right now, I'm hearing them cough. That's how loud they're coughing. I guess that's how loud they're coughing. I think they put in wall-to-wall carpets, and ever since that day when they were making that noise, they've been quiet. So I think I was right about that. Hey Ryan, have a good night. Thanks for being here as always, and go Habs, go, buddy. Lucas, I hope that's a typo, but Michkov will be really good, but it's not really just revenge on Montreal. It says 9 teams also skipped on him. He got picked 7th, so I'm not sure how 9 teams skipped on him, dude. But yeah. Listen, 6 teams passed on him. There's got to be something to it. It's not just that, well, 6 teams, 5 teams. Chicago wasn't picking him, but 5 teams passed on him. So, I mean, I don't know why Montreal's held to account for that. If everybody is saying, and I mean, I said this at some points, right? He's the second most talented, skilled talent guy in the draft. That horrible way of saying that. Right? So if that's the case, why did he go 7th? And why should Montreal be just the only team that gets like, why didn't you take him? Anyway, we'll see. Well, Renegade Man, I hope they don't end up on the. I don't hope they don't end up down there again, bottom 5 to 7. I think they're a better team than that. So if they end up down there, then something went wrong. And I'd rather see things go right than wrong. Like I hope the injury, if the injury bug doesn't hit, I don't see how they could finish that low. You thought he went 14th? Awesome, Lucas. Where'd you get the stuff, man? Chicago was taking Bedard over Michkov like the 31 other teams in the NHL. Of course, Bedard was going to be first. So, hey, Nicholas, due to character, talent-wise, easy top 3. For you talking about Michkov? I mean, that's what you hear, right? So if that's the case, why did he go 7th? It wasn't just because, well, there was Adam Fantilli and Carlson and Smith. I mean, if he was legitimately a top 3 talent in this draft, why didn't he go top 3 or 4? So there must be something that caused these other teams, to also not want to pick him. Hockey Guy said he doesn't see Habs moving up this year as far as out of the bottom 10. Yeah, no, but I do. I've already made the guess. I kind of think they're going to pick around 12. I kind of see them as at around there, which isn't that far out of the bottom 10, but I mean, it's a step up. You're saying, okay, Nicholas, you're saying due to his good character, you think Michkov should have been top 3? Is that what you're saying? We, Renegade Man, I'll disagree with you in that we don't have a Michkov. We have a Cole Caulfield. He's who he is. I don't know that it's, I mean, we have that goal scorer kind of guy, but it's not the same kind of player at all. Unless or until Michkov proves me wrong, I'm very happy having Caulfield over Michkov. Don't be shocked that the hockey guy might have a bad take here and there. I've disagreed with him more than once. And remember, too, he's also not the biggest Habs fan, right? Although he is a guy that believes the Habs being a good team and competitive is better for the NHL than them not being. But he's not a big Habs fan. I'm not that shocked that he would have that take. Like I said, I've had differences of opinion with him, especially over the Habs, many times. I honestly I haven't seen the hockey guy video in months. I don't remember the last time. It might even be 6 months, and it's not even a knock on him at all. It's just I don't know. I haven't watched any. Still totally respect the guy, and if it weren't for the hockey guy, I mean, I'm not doing this. So, but I just haven't seen one in a long time. Nicholas, I think that's how the Habs saw it, right? Let's put it this way. On that account, like for that reason, there's a lot of smoke there. That there must be something to it. To what extent, I don't know. But it was worth not finding out. Let the Flyers find out, or another team, but let that other team find out. I didn't want the Habs to find that out. Now, sure, he could end up being, hey, look back and say, hey, he was the best pick in the draft, over Bedard, and that could happen. I just don't think that is what's going to happen. I think he'll be a good NHLer. I kind of think he could be. I don't want to use the word selfish, but on that side a little bit because that's his game, right? If that's the case, well, he'd still be a good NHLer, but that'll keep him from being great. If that's the case, it's going to keep him from being great. It's a team sport, and you got to be, especially today with the speed of the game and the talent that's out there in the NHL, you need to play a team game. You can't be a hot dog all the time. And I wish this would just stay lit. I wish, but no one listens to my wish. If there's anybody up there, he doesn't listen to me. Okay, Shazlan says when you pick in the top 5, you go for the best player available. And that was, believe me, my theory right up until I read something that the theory is very basically this. Anybody picking in the top 10 is picking for need. Why? Because if you're in the top 10, you got multiple holes and you probably need somebody everywhere. You're still picking for need, right? So I don't know. As long as the way you pick for need is the right way, right? And which is what Montreal did. They believed Probably Leonard and Reinbacher were of the same quality and all that good stuff that they had, yet something about Reinbacher made them pick him, and that's the right-hand shot defenseman. And the fact that all their scouts believe that this guy will play for Montreal his whole career, and it'll be a long one. It makes the difference. So when you got two guys that are the same, you can then go for need, which is what they did. They felt that was a bigger need than the offense because they believe the offense is coming from the players that are already here, and I kind of agree with that. So I think that is what, and it's clear the reason they didn't pick Michkov, they felt the character wasn't there. And Reinbacher apparently checked all the boxes and even some that they didn't have. He was the perfect candidate that way, talent-wise, checking all those boxes, character, all that good stuff. And he fit. He may end up starting this year. He may end up, if he makes it if he makes it at camp, he's going to stay. So, and if he has a so-so camp or, they think he needs to go back, he'll go back to the Swiss. He apparently not going to play in Laval this year coming and not going to go to any junior league anywhere. It's either back to Switzerland or he's playing for Montreal this upcoming season. That's the only thing from this video that I'm going to give you tonight. But yeah, that apparently this is the case that David Reinbacher has the opportunity to make the team. I'll tell you this. If you know who David St. Louis is, he's a scout for Elite Prospects. He also has a YouTube channel. I like David St. Louis as far as when he breaks down a guy's game. I find him really good at that. I've heard there was when I was researching the Reinbacher video, so I saw twice him interviewed on a video, and he said that he believes David Reinbacher is ready this season coming to be a third pair defenseman if the team this is pre-draft, if the team that drafts him feels that they want to do that. So, I mean, I'm not expecting if he makes the team, he's going to be a top pairing guy, but he'll start on the third pair. But he'll have to have a good camp for that. So we'll see. So there you go. There's my I don't know, scoop of the day. My scoop, it's not a scoop, it's out there, but okay, let me see. Where was I? I just learned Benson just got signed. They already signed him to his ELC, so that's a talent. Listen, Zach Benson's going to be a good player. Just he's on the small size. Joe says prospects are looking into the futures market, very high risk investments. Yeah, I mean in general, and even the best ones, but I mean some are more risky than others. It just happens that Michkov, for a player of his skill level, probably. He's a little more risky than normal because of a bunch of other things. And if you throw in the fact that maybe he's got some character flaws, and then on a team that really is character's a big thing, and that's Montreal. Character's a big thing. Kent Hughes has made that clear. When a guy has character issues or question marks, is it surprising they're not taking him? Born to be Hab, I'm not putting Reinbacher ahead of Mailloux. There's almost, I'll say this, there's 0% chance that Logan Mailloux starts the season in Montreal. 0% chance, right? Maybe by the end of the season, he gets a call up and maybe Mailloux for this coming year. But Reinbacher's got a chance. But it doesn't mean that Reinbacher is ahead of Mailloux if you're talking about depth chart type thing or prospect list. But man, they're right by each other. It's not. They're really close. Nicholas, that's what I said in my video. In the video, I did say I think he's going to end up going back to the Swiss League and if he does go back, it's for the season. Don't expect that he's gone back to the Swiss League and they call him up. I don't think that's going to happen. If it does, it'll be for a game or two, and then he'll go back. Like I've seen that happen. But I don't expect. I don't expect him to make the team, but mostly because there's guys ahead of him that need to be looked at for another year, and Reinbacher probably benefits just as much going back to Swiss League than playing here for the year. I think so. Hey, Jay Barra, welcome to the channel. I don't know that I've seen you before. Think Reinbacher should and will go back to Europe for the year. Could maybe get some games towards the end of the year with Hudson, which is exactly what I said just now. But it's a good point, too, because Hudson, let's put it this way, Matt and Alex both feel that Hudson will sign with the Habs and be here at the end of his college season. So you might see Reinbacher and Hudson together at some point at the end of the year. And a future pairing, more than likely. Giselle, good point, but that's why. Okay, this is what he says: in '91, the best prospect for everyone with eyes closed was Alexander Daig, but nobody knew Daig had problems. But this is why it was so important for Montreal, and Hughes made it clear that doesn't matter the talent level, doesn't matter who it is. If they don't check the boxes that they have, that player is not the best player available. He made it clear. And, it's from how many drafts where the guy, they didn't check him out enough. That's why the interviews are so intense and the kind of questions they ask and stuff like that. They're trying to weed that guy out and not draft that guy. Doesn't matter when it was. That's fine. But it doesn't matter when it was. But it's got drafts like that. It's not just Daig. There's a couple of others over the years. It's your second time in the stream. Well, I'm sorry if I probably said already a welcome in the last time, but anyways, good to see you. Good to see you back for a second. Yeah, I mean, the defense core is going to be great. I think it's pretty much set. Like, they don't have to be drafting. No, I shouldn't say drafting is different, but they don't have to be going out and acquiring defensemen to fill holes. Their defense is going to be good going forward. They've got some good quality prospects, like really good quality prospects. We're probably going to have a big three again, like we did in the 70s. And it's going to be a good defense. And if you add really solid goaltending to that, well, you got the building blocks of championship team. The cornerstone of championship teams are the goaltending and the defense. All right, well, we're getting near the end of the show. If you have been here and enjoying yourself, please give a thumbs up. I appreciate that. Or before you leave, to do that. And if you haven't subscribed yet, and I've convinced you that maybe it's worthwhile doing that, please do that. That would be awesome. All right, what else we got going? Another one who disappoints was Brian Fogarty. Yeah, Brian Fogarty. But I mean, exactly, alcohol problems. And then he passed away. I think he was only like 44. He was young. He did. He beat Bobby Orr's record in the OHL. I remember that. He almost made it into my Ghosts of Habs Past, but there were a lot of guys who could have made it and didn't. I think I got one guy in there that's not dead yet. I don't want to say who. What year was Yakupov taken by Edmonton? Not that long ago. Just a number. Not that long ago. 2012. I mean, Yakupov, big bust. I don't know that it was any personal problems or whatever, but I mean, he was a bust. Yeah, same year we got Galchenyuk. That's true. And oddly enough, isn't Galchenyuk like one of the best picks. Looking back at that, he's still maybe the best pick production-wise over the years out of that draft. I think in general that was just a bad draft. Now Galchenyuk, talented guy, but a head case, right? So he was a head case. If Montreal did their due diligence like they do now, they would not have drafted Galchenyuk. Jay Barra, I don't even know why you've got to go ahead to Roy and Meshar. I think we've got some superstars here in the making already. In Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield, Kirby Dach. You got 3 right there that have huge potential. Still, right? Have huge potential. And so, yeah. And then you're right. I mean, a guy like Joshua and Meshar, they've got potential too. But I mean, they're, still in the future a bit. So, yeah, I think we already have some guys here. And then on defense for the future as well. I mean, Hudson has huge potential. If he hits his ceiling, wow, right? So, and then you got Mayu and you got Reinbacher. You got guys here who are going to be great. Now, they all have to fulfill that. But, I mean, when was the last time we had such hope for the next, 5 years or more for this team? With so many different players, Isn't that a good point? So then if I'm correct, then he was like a legitimately where Habs picked him, like that was a legitimate spot for him. Joe, yeah, it's one of the reasons why they picked 3 goalies was for that, because I don't think they believe they had the goalie of the future yet here. So it was in search of that. And as well, like they could have done that with the first 2 picks. The third one, they need guys in the system, right? So they want to make sure that there's guys in the system and they're not struggling. Like last season with the injuries, they were struggling for goalies. Probably not the only team, but they were. It's like that old saying, can never have too many defensemen, right? You need goalies in your system. But definitely, I think, I don't know much about that second goalie, but I think he's got really good potential as well. And Fowler, I think Fowler's got really good potential. We got Dobish starting with the Rocket this season. I think between Dobish and Fowler, you've got a couple of guys you can look at and say, these guys might be the goalies of the future. It doesn't look like it's Primo. It doesn't mean that it's not, because Primo's still only 23. But, I mean, it's starting to look like it's not. All right, well, we're winding down. Before we go, I guess so you know what to look for. It'll be out tomorrow or the day after. Is this here? Here it is. Here's the thumbnail. So, Montreal Canadiens news. Check out for that. I hope at least I get started on the editing tonight, but usually by the time I'm gonna have supper after this. By the time I'm done that, I don't really feel like working, especially since I kind of been working most of the day. Kind of don't feel like it. So, and I'm not a young kid that has the drive to work 24 hours a day. I don't anymore. So that's where we're at. And don't forget to please, if you want to get this is the Montreal Canadiens all-time lineup, right? Players from their whole history, the top players. What would your lineup be of all time? So if you want to get that into a video, send it to me at my email address, which is in the description of this video, or make a comment in this video or any other video with the list, and I will get that into a video when I do mine, which I'm working on, and that should be in the next little bit. That's the kind of video can come out anytime. Doesn't really matter. But I'm definitely going to start working on mine. I kind of did already, just haven't put anything on paper yet. It's a difficult problem, I guess you want to say, to figure out a better lineup than that. Although there is, I don't fully agree with that lineup. Oh, where was I? Best D of the Habs is another dilemma. Let's see. You got Bouchard, Robinson, Savard, Lapointe, Harvey, Chelios, Sabota, Weber, Subban. Well, your first, because you probably saw that, but your first ones are what's in that list. I don't necessarily agree with that list or in the order that they have them. Ray, don't bark. There's nobody out there. Ray, don't bark. No barking. She doesn't listen to me. I just say it for nothing. Jay Barra, Fucali just signed with a KHL team. I was reading that, I think last month. So yeah, he's fallen far. You believe Cole Caulfield will be better, but we're not using guys that haven't finished their careers. Ray, quiet. She's the most nosy dog I know. Every noise out there, she got to bark. Riche before Claude Provo. I don't remember enough about Provo to know what type of player he was. So you probably have to match that type, because look on the line, right? It's Gainey, Carbonneau, and Provo. So those are obviously checking line guys, right? So Riche doesn't qualify there, right? Because you're putting line 1, 2, 3, 4. Line 4 is not a scoring line with stars on it, right? I think that's part of the. What's the word I'm looking for? Is that they gotta be line suitable. Is that the right word? Good dog watching. Daddy's back. Oh, dog watching. Daddy's back. No, she's not watching my back. She's just nosy. I've got to stick her nose into everybody's business by barking. She does this all day long. Provo, I know Provo was that. I just don't know enough about him. I don't, but obviously he's a depth player, a fourth line checking or third line checking guy, one of those. So yeah, if you're going to replace him with somebody, you got to put somebody like that ahead of him. Born to be a Hab, can't put Maurice the Rocket Richard on left wing. He was a right winger. I don't believe he ever played left wing. Joe, that I do have a perfectly good working alarm system, except it goes off a lot of times when it shouldn't, though. That's the problem. Hey, Matt Outdoor, how's it going, man? You're checking in just at the end. We're just about done, but it's still good to see you. Okay, anybody got anything else? Otherwise, I think I'm going to take off here. A little tired and hungry tonight. I think every night I say that I should eat before, right? You'd think I should eat before the shows, but I don't feel like eating till after the show starts. Then I get hungry and it's too late already. So that's what happens to me most days when I do shows. All right, so I'm going to put this down and I'm going to say goodbye. So listen, I'm going to be back on Wednesday for a live show. We're going to be, what's that, the 2nd of August? So we're already in August. So I'll also have this video out. Talking Habs News should be out, I hope at least by tomorrow night. Because it's a news thing, so That's it. That's I'm going to work on a few other things, like I was just talking about that lineup thing. So please send me your lineups. I'd love to put them in the video. And that's about it. Pronovo. No, Provo is not Pronovo. Whoever put Pronovo, that's not the same guy. All right. So everybody, have a great night. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate that y'all were here. Stay safe out there. Peace out, y'all. And like Bob Cannon loves to say, keep your sticks on the ice. Go Habs, go, and I'll see you soon. Have a good rest of the evening. It's still, it's still lots of night left on a Saturday night. Ciao, everybody. Have a good night. Whoops.